these fancy terms, policies, procedures, democracy, republic, transaction. And for the listener, just real brief, explain what a policy is.
Yeah.
Either one of you.
Oh, I'm not a policy wonk. I'm gonna give it to him hood if I have to give it to him.
You'll take that. You'll take that.
So in layman's terms, a policy is not necessarily a law. It may be a rule that's put in place by an organization that you work for. And again, when you think about the intersectionality or the different branches of government, most policies are put in place by your executive branch. Your executive branch is your president at a national level. At the localist level, it's going to be a mayor, right? So just look at it like that. Or it could, at the county level, it is your county executive. And that person is also responsible for onboarding and selecting its staff. So when you think about job and family services, if you need food assistance, you need cash assistance, all those good things, those are the administrators that are put in place and onboarded by your executive branch of government that sets policies. Some policies, though, are created, or those rules are created as a direct result of law. Law is created by your General Assembly, i.e. the people we've talked about today at the State House, being your state representatives and your state senators. At a national level, that's your Congress. At a state level, that's your General Assembly. At its most local level, that is your City Council,
Who we talked
you
about
heard Al
earlier.
talked about earlier.
And I think the other thing too is I try to, and thank you, Al, for acknowledging the wonkiness of sometimes the way we talk. It is hard when you're thinking about this, breaking this every single day to make sure that you're doing it in a way that does translate to a broad set of individuals. I always like to use like just how you function in life, right? And think about the ways that democracy and civic engagement intersect with that. From the moment you open your eyes, right, to turning on your TV, there is a government entity that governs, right, the confidentiality and the, you know, sort of the ways in which we can receive information through the waves, right? If you think about social media, you have someone that wakes up in the morning. There's a government entity that monitors that, right? There's really nothing that we do. We get in our car, gas, right? You know, our climate, energy, you know, environmental justice, right? There's so many elements of our life on a daily basis. You know, if you're taking public transportation, or if you're driving yourself or your child to, you know, school or to work. And it could be as, you know, something as very specific as the pothole on the end of your street, or the lack of healthy food options that may be in close proximity to your home, whether that's by walking or a short drive. So it's really, there's no facet of our life that's not impacted. Getting into the how you undesign some of these systems and the ways in which you can impact change, right, it does require some level of nuance of understanding where. The example I had provided often is that I remember years ago someone saying, well, I called Sherrod Brown, who's one of Ohio's state federal senators, about the light at the end of my street not being fixed. And I said, look, you know, I'm sure Sherrod's staff appreciated that call. I'm sure Sherrod has some empathy for the fact that your light is out. But unfortunately, Sherrod is in D.C., and this is not within his purview, right? This is not within his responsibility. That would actually be your local city council person, right? So I think, you know, I'm recalling in my mind right now, you know, back in the 80s, not to show age, but, you know, things like Schoolhouse Rock, right? Like these little jingles that were created when civics was mandated in school. And again, because that is no longer required, there is no non-contentious space. I will say there's a lot of contentious spaces to have these conversations, but there's very little non-contentious places where youth and adults, not just youth, and I think we need to acknowledge that there are very seasoned individuals in our community who also have not been provided access to this type of information. And again, it can feel a little embarrassing sometimes, right? Because you think, oh, I should know these things, and it's like, no, there should be no embarrassment because again, the system is designed to do what it's doing right now.